Hi everybody, my name is Alex and today we are going to understand how to play Bang. Okay, let's take a look of the gaming station. How does it look like? We have a role, a character, these health points and then the equipments. Okay, but now take a look how it looks like with the real cards in it. We are going to understand and learn the game starting from the role, then switch to the equipments and then the character. The role. At the start of the game, everybody will receive one role card randomly. You should prepare the roles before distributing according to the number of players. The role dictates what you have to do in order to win the game. The general rule is good versus bad. Who eliminate the other team get the win. Let's see what happens with 4 players. 4 players, we have the good guys, who in this case is only the sheriff, and the bad guys, the renegade and 2 outlaws. What the sheriff have to do to win the game? The sheriff should keep the renegade alive and focus all his killing attempts to the outlaws. Afterwards, he have to kill the renegade if he's still alive to win the game. For what regards the renegade should help the sheriff to get rid of all the outlaws and only then proceed to murder the sheriff. And the outlaws get an instant win in any case of the sheriff death, even if the renegade kills him. 5 players. We got an extra good guys in this case, the deputy sheriff. Sheriff and his deputy have to cooperate in order to kill all the bad guys. Outlaws get a win in any case of sheriff death, even if the renegade or even the vice sheriff kills him. Renegade wins if the outlaws die and he managed to kill the good guys. 6 players. We get an extra outlaw here. Again, sheriff and his deputy have to cooperate in order to kill all the bad guys. Outlaws get a win in any case of sheriff death, and renegade win if the outlaws die and they manage to kill the good guys. Watch out, because compared to the 5-player variant, in 6 players variant, he has to be extra careful in case the outlaws kills the sheriff. That will cost his win. 7 players. Here we have one extra deputy sheriff and his 2 deputy have to cooperate in order to kill the bad guys. Outlaws get a win in any case of sheriff death, and the renegade wins if the outlaws die and they manage to kill the good guys. 8 players, 4 outlaws of course. Sheriff and his 2 deputy have to cooperate in order to kill the bad guys. Outlaws get win any case of sheriff death, and renegade win if the outlaws die and they manage to kill the good guys. Okay, now everybody has its role and knows what we have to do in order to win the match. Place the role card backward in your gaming station. Note, only the sheriff must reveal the card, so it's the only role in public domain. This is how it looks, the gaming station. Now we know the roles. Let's move on the next step. Equipments and cards in your hand. From the deck you can see on the right, you can draw 3 different types of card. The general rule is you cannot play cards with the same name in the same turn. You cannot play in the same turn Bangs, Cut Balloons or to Panic, for example. So we have 3 different types of cards: the brown, the blue and the green. The brown are one-time use and then burn. The blue and the green are equipments. They will be displayed on your gaming station. Let's start from the green and the blue, the equipments. Both types have to be displayed on your gaming station again, and everyone can see what you have equipped. Let's start with the green. After being placed, you have to pass the turn to be able to use its effect. Some example: iron plate. How does it work? You place it and you terminate your turn, and from now on, if someone shoots you, you can burn that card to miss that offensive shot. Another example: Pony Express. Place it, finalize the turn. If you still have it equipped when it's your turn again, you can burn it and draw 3 cards. Let's see some tricky green cards that should be explained. The Buffalo Rifle. It means shoot any player in game. Any player. Pepperbox. Shoot a player according to the range of your weapon. Range which will be explained later on this video. Knife. Shoot the player at maximum distance, in this case of 1. Howitzer. Shoot every player in game, without exception. Derringer. Shoot a player at maximum distance of 1 and then draw a card. Other example of this double effect card is the Bible. When you get shot, you can miss that shot and draw also a card. from the main deck. Let's move on to the blue cards. The main difference from the green cards is after you have equipped it, you can use it infinite times, multiple times, unless somebody destroy it with a specific card, such as for Cat Baloo. We have two types of blues, the guns, the rest stuff. The guns, as you can see, you have a number in the middle. It represents the range of that weapon. Just for clarifying, the damage is always 1 HP, and sometimes they even have an ability, as the volcanic. It says you can play any number of bang. In fact, before I told you the general rule, you cannot play in the same turn a card with the same name twice. You can play it only once. Let's explain the weapon range. The concept in this case will be explained from the perspective of the player 1. If I am player 1, the distance from me to the player 2 and player 6 will be 1. If I am player 1, the distance from me to player 5 and player 3 will be 2, and the distance from 1 to 4 is of course 3. So I need a gun with at least range 3 to see and shoot player 4. If someone dies, he'll be excluded in the count of the distance. So if, for example, this player 2 dies, player 1 to shoot player 3, you just need a gun with range 1. Every player, even without any weapon equipped, have by default a pistol with range 1. Watch out, some blue cards can make you further or see the other closer. Let's break down some tricky blue cards. Bounty. Equip it to an enemy. When he's shooted, the shooter may draw a card. Rattlesnake. Equip it to an enemy. Every time he starts a new turn, he has to draw a card. If it's spades, he loses 1 HP. Jail. Equip it to an enemy. When it's his turn, he has to draw a card. If it's not hard, he has to skip that turn. Note, this is the only case of a blue card that needs to be burned after its effect. For example, Rattlesnake. If it works, it shows its effect, it won't be burned. Note 2, it can't be played on the sheriff. On deputy sheriff can be though. Ghost. Equip it to a dead ally. As long as he has this card equipped, he can keep playing as a regular game but without health points. So the only way to die is with a Cat Baloo, for example. Dynamite and Barrel are the only example that a blue card can be equipped on yourself. Also must be equipped in this case on yourself. Let's start from Dynamite. When you start a new turn, after the turn where you have placed this card, you have to draw a card. If it's from 2 to 9 of spades, boom, and you will lose 3 HP. Otherwise, you can pass it to the next person. He will do the same, and you keep doing it until either explode or get destroyed. Barrel. When someone shoots you, draw a card. If it's an earth, you may miss that shot. Note, even if you don't draw an earth, you can still use another miss card. Okay, now we do know what are blues and greens, but what about brown cards? This type of card can be used either during and after your turn. Remember, after their usage, they must be burned. In every case of brown card. Let's see some tricky brown cards. What is this symbol? This symbol means sacrifice one of your cards in your hand to get the effect represented after the equal. In this case, tequila, the effect represented is get 1 HP, and in case of brawl, the effect is destroy a card every player in game. Fanning, you shoot 2 players sitting one next to each other. Tomahawk, you shoot a player regardless the distance provided by weapon equipped. The range is what you see in the card. In this case, it's 2. Beer, the most beautiful card in this game. Restore 1 HP. And it's usable only in yourself. Note, if you lose your last HP outside your turn, you can use a beer to undo your death and come back in game with 1 HP. Panic. You can steal a card from the hand or from its gaming station to a player at distance 1, but blue card that makes you see people closer will affect panic, and also blue cards that make other people further will affect panic. General store. Draw as many cards as players are in game in this moment. You choose 1 card and then you pass the rest to the next player. He chooses 1 and then you repeat this until the last player gets the last remaining card. Then you can resume the game. We now understand how roles, equipments and hands card works. Let's take the last step, the characters. And then we will be able to play our first game. Characters. At the start of the game, before distributing the roles, we need to choose the character. The rules book says we have to give 2 random character cards to each of the players. However, I like to mix team selves, and so I give 1 or sometimes 3 cards to each player. So do this passage as you please. Other thing to check is how many maximum health points your character has. It's indicated on top right with some bullets. Second thing to check is its unique special ability. If you decide to distribute the roles before the characters, which is not a standard rule, you can take advantage of this knowledge by choosing the ability most suitable to your role. Last things to know before starting to play. So, this is how everybody's gaming station should be looking at the start of the game. You can use a backward card as an health points counter, but remember, health points can't be more than what says the character card, so you can not exceed the maximum health points indicated on the character's card. Okay, let's start the game. First, every player draws as many cards as the number of their maximum HP. Second, the first to play is the sheriff, and then the player at his left keep playing. Remember to draw 2 cards every time you start a new turn. You can pass your turn if the cards in your hand are equal or less than your current health points, otherwise you have to burn excess. Congratulations, you finished the tutorial. If you have any DLCs and extra stuff, we will be covering that in this next part of the video. High Noon and the Wild West Show. It's a small black deck placed in the gaming station of the sheriff. He will draw 1 card at the start of every of his turn, except for the first turn of the game, and last card must be High Noon, the other are random. I hate Wild West Show DLC, I guess you too. So what I do is mixing that deck into the High Noon and put the card Wild West Show as the last card before the card High Gold Rush. In this DLC you have to prepare a shop as shown down here, with 3 cards and a deck on top. Each time you make lose an HP to a player, you will be rewarded with a golden gem, which is a currency of this shop. Alternatively, you can trade 1 beer for 1 gem. Notice that there are 2 types of cards. The brown border can be used once, and black border, which stays equipped in your gaming station. After a card has been purchased, someone have to draw a new 3rd card. Black bordered card can be destroyed by paying the price shown in the bottom right +1. So for example, gold pan, if you want to destroy that card, which is equipped by an enemy, you have to pay 3 + 1, so 4 gold gems. Note, the gems are in every case paid to the shop bank and never to a player. 3 players variant, if you want to play in 3 players, you can follow this diagram and you play with roles revealed. So the vice needs to kill renegades to win, the renegades needs to kill the outlaw to win, etc. So it's self-explanatory, but I'll make some example. If the deputy gets killed by the renegade, the outlaw, in order to win the game, have to kill the renegade. But if the outlaw kills the vice, it is a win, without possibility to win for the renegade. And again, if the outlaw is killed by the renegade, renegade wins the game, with deputy without possibility to win. The Shadow Renegade, this is a fun expansion, because makes the renegade, who is notoriously hard to play, easier and less predictable. You start the game using the standard renegade card, but if he dies, he'll come back full health points with this new card. Every time he starts a new turn, he has to check how many good and bad guys are still in game. Note, ghost doesn't count. If the bad guys are equal or more than the good guys, he's gonna play as a Shadow Outlaw. Otherwise, if the good guys are less than bad guys, he's gonna play as a Shadow Deputy. So technically he can change his roles every turn. Thanks for watching, bye bye.